Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to explain a topic called digital PAM transmission through a band limited baseband channels. So what exactly we are doing in this case is we are transmitting a PAM signals, that is pulse amplitude modulated signal. It is not PSK, ASK, FSK. We are not using any such modulation techniques, but the digital signals as it is, maybe in the unipolar, polar, bipolar, M array system, whatever, we are transmitting by using those techniques through a channel, a baseband channel, which has a limited bandwidth. What is the impact of those channels on the signals, PAM signals, when it is received and recovered in the receiver? This is what actually we are going to discuss in this topic, that is digital PAM transmission through a band limited baseband channels. So this is again a simple digital communication system where we have a transmitting filter. The input data is given to that transmitting filter. There is a channel, so that a signal given by the transmitting filter is given to the channel. Then in the channel, what happens is usually the noise will be added. Let us say that noise is some n of t. Let us consider. Then that signal is given to the receiving filter in the receiver side. This is your receiver portion. In the receiving filter, the signal is received. Basically, all these, because it's a digital PAM transmission, the signal will be low pass, not band pass, because we are not using any modulation technique. So in the receiver, the signal is a low pass filter I'm using, the receiver, which has the response equal to GR of F, may not be that visible properly. GR of F is the response of receiving filter. The output of that is Y of T. This is a sampler, symbol timing extractor, you can say, or generator. So the function of this is to extract the timing signal from the received signal, and it is used for sampling the signal again, resampling, you can say, in the receiver, so that we can again estimate the zeros and ones. And that signal is Y of kt at a time instead of kt. Then detector is used to detect the symbols, transmitted symbol, and this is the original data. So we are giving this input binary data to the transmitting filter, which has the response equal to GT of F, transmitting filter, low pass filter. The output of that is given by B of T, and finally it is supplied to the channel. Okay. Now it's a digital PAM transmission. Let us consider that the PAM signal, the pulse amplitude modulated signal, is a M array PAM. It is not binary. Binary means zeros and ones. We represent by using, say, unipolar, polar representation, whatever. In the M array system, we actually use M different amplitude levels. We assign M different amplitude levels. Let us say we make a group of, say, K symbols, and those K bits we consider, and those K bits are assigned one particular amplitude level. That is 2 power K, you can say, equal to M. So there are M possible amplitude levels what we can get in the M array PAM system. So this transmitting filter will generate that M array PAM signal, and that output of that transmitting filter is given by this equation, that is V of t is equal to summation n gt of t minus nt. This is nothing but is a series of pulses represented or generated, or it is generated at every nt seconds. So this symbol, that t, is given by k by rb, where k is the number of bits what we consider for grouping purpose. Okay, if I say I have k equal to 2, that means I make a group of 2 bits. I can get a m equal to 4. So 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1. We assign a different amplitude levels for those 2 bits. So in general, let us say it is k number of bits are grouped in the information sequence, and we get a m number of amplitude levels, where m equal to, in general, 2 power k. So the timing symbol duration is given by k by rb. Okay. Now this signal, whatever generated B of t, is given to the channel. Channel has a response equal to C of F. We already told that the channel is having a limited bandwidth. Usually the channel is bandwidth limited. And if it is bandwidth limited, what exactly happens is, on the transmitted signal, the dispersion, the symbol will be dispersed, and it will interfere with each other. That impact is actually called ISI, that is inter-symbol interference, which I'll explain a bit later with the equations and derivations. Now, let us say the signal is transmitted over a channel, some noise is added. I said this noise is an additive white Gaussian noise, let us consider, which has zero mean and variance equal to n0 by 2. So that signal is added with my transmitted signal, that is V of t. So the received signal in the input of the receiver is R of t is equal to summation n h of t minus nt plus n of t, where instead of taking gt of t minus nt, I have taken a h of t minus nt, because the shape of the signal will change when the signal is transmitted through the channel. So this is the channel, shape of the signal will change, and I have taken that as h of t minus nt. So in the previous equation here, an actually represents the amplitude whatever we assign, m different amplitude levels. This is the amplitude for the nth transmitted symbol. Okay, so that received signal here r of t is given by an, h of t minus nt, shape might have changed, and noise is also added to that particular symbol. Now, what is h of t? H of t is the response of, you can say, impulse response of the transmitting filter. Okay, so h of t, how they are related now? H of t is given by, so overall response of this section is given by h of t. So h of t is equal to what? It is c of t in the time domain, convolution with gt of t. Or in the frequency domain, you can say h of f is given by, that is h of f at the output of this channel is actually given by c of f multiplied by gt of f. So anyway, you can represent in the time domain or maybe in the frequency domain. Now this particular signal r of t is passed through a receiving filter which has the response equal to gr of f. And the output is given by here, it is y of t. That's what we have taken. Y of t is the output of this receiving filter. When the signal r of t is applied to the receiving filter, again, because of the nature of the filter, low pass filter, characteristic of the filter and all, shape of the signal will change. That's why what I have taken here is the output, the equation, same equation. The only difference is instead of h of t minus nt, I have taken this as x of t minus nt, because the shape again changes. And n of t is replaced by v of t, because this low pass filter will remove certain amount of additive white Gaussian noise based on its response. You know the response of the filter, low pass filter, right? It's a low pass. So instead of n of t, it is taken as v of t here. So what is x of t then? X of t is nothing but it is h of t convolution with gr of t. So because this h of t over here, whatever I had, which is equal to c of t convolution with gt of t, is passed through a receiving filter. So the response what we get in the output of that is given by x of t is equal to h of t convolution with gr of t, which is again, you can replace that h of t by g of t convolution with ct of t, convolution with gr of t. Again, when a noise is also passed through that receiving filter, the response what we get is n of t convolution with gr of t. Okay, that is the additive white Gaussian noise whatever we get in the output of this receiving filter. It will remove certain amount of additive white Gaussian noise, and whatever in the noise present in the pass band, the low pass filter pass band, only that much of power is actually passed by the low pass filter. So now it is, what is the function of the sampler? It is sampling. So at what time we have to sample, that is decided by, see, the sampling time should be same. Whatever the sampling time we have used in the transmitter side, same sampling time we should have in the receiver also. So what we do, we actually extract the signal from the received signal. The timing information is actually extracted. So same sampling frequency we use. Again, the signal is actually sampled at a t seconds. To say, let us say t seconds. Okay. Now output of that sampler at say time t equal to mt. Let us consider. This is y of t over here. The signal is y of t is equal to this. At t equal to mt, sampling instant, we get a discrete amplitude, right? So that discrete amplitude is given by y of mt is equal to summation a n x of, we have t minus nt. Wherever you have a t, replace that by mt. That's it. So x of mt minus nt plus v of mt. Now, in this case, for m equal to n, so that means let us assume that is a nth transmitted symbol. I want to estimate that particular symbol. Now, what is the impact of the channel on that particular nth symbol? Let us say m equal to n. So this in turn we can write this as something like this in a short, where I have that t have omitted, you can say. So I take a t common here. X of m minus n into t I'll get, plus v of mt I'll get. Okay. In short, I can write like this. This is the equivalent equation I can say for the previous one. So y of m is equal to, where a t is omitted, summation a n x of m minus n. M minus n is taken out into t. T is not represented here. X of m minus n plus vm. That's it. For m equal to n now, for a nth transmitted symbol, what will be the output of my sampler or the detector? Let us say the recovered symbol. Why is a substitute m equal to n here? We have a summation term. Remember, for n goes from minus infinity to plus infinity. For n equal to m minus m we get, because n equal to m here. That is x naught, means m minus m is 0, x naught multiplied by n equal to m, that is am, plus the remaining terms. for m not equal to n. So that is an x minus n, but n is not equal to n. N is not equal to m plus Vm. What is Vm? Vm is the additive white Gaussian noise. Now what is the meaning of this? I am expecting only this particular symbol in the output for m equal to n or n equal to m. Anyway, you say no problem. But along with this, plus I have a noise, no problem. Noise is always there in the channel. But this second term actually represents the impact of the other symbols on the nth symbol. That is, the second symbol, the second term, this term actually represents the ISI. That is inter-symbol interference. What is ISI? I'll explain in the next video in detail. This is the impact, or it is the interference caused by the other symbols on my symbol at nth interval of time. Okay. Now what we have to see, this x naught is a scaling factor. Basically, it's a scaling factor, x naught. So when this receiving filter is perfectly matched, say this receiving filter is perfectly matched to the h of t. H of t is the overall response of this channel as well as the transmitting filter. That is h of t over here. When this receiving filter, if it is perfectly matched to the response of that h of t, that time we can say that we can avoid that ISI. Okay, that is the scaling factor should be x naught should be h square of t. It is h of t multiplied by, you can say, g r of t, but gr of t is matched to h of t. So we can replace that gr of t by h of t. We get a h square of t. It's a convolution integral. That's what I have written over there. Again, integral in the frequency domain. We can write that something like this, right? We can replace that h of t by something like this again, right? Which is represented as epsilon of h. Epsilon h. The scaling factor x naught is equal to epsilon h. So what we can say finally is there is a ISI usually, but still in the receiver side, in the presence of inter-symbol interference, we should be able to detect our symbol without noise or without much error. If there is severe impact of that ISI, what happens is 0 will be detected as 1, 1 will be detected as 0. So we need to design the transmitting filter, the receiving filter, and should be matched. These filters should be matched to the characteristic of the channel. Then only it is possible to avoid the ISI to the certain extent. Okay, so this is about the inter-symbol interference and the basic block diagram of the digital PAM. Thank you for watching.